Hello everybody, MechaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out just to go through my whole entire gaming library. Could be a game, could be a limited edition, could be a console, but today we're going to be talking about none other than Earthbound. Yes, it's long overdue for me to talk about, I would say, what I dare say, one of my most greatest RPGs I have ever played, and I would definitely put it at least in my top 10 most enjoyable games or slash series in general though, because Earthbound though, for what it was able to do back in those early Super Nintendo days, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I certainly wasn't expecting a game of this structure to be so weird and so zany, but yet have a great story overall. It didn't have random encounters, which a lot of games were doing up until that point, and even after this point though. There's a lot of great things that this game has done that I'm just so appreciative, and it actually gave me like a great appreciation for RPGs in general ever since from this point onward though. And oh my gosh, I have so many great stories to tell because Earthbound, it is definitely a classic right here. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. My good old buddy Earthbound. Now, obviously, some of y'all might be thinking, like, wait, when was the first time you had any interaction with Earthbound? Because if you know anything about me, I grew up on the NES and the Nintendo 64, though, so I didn't necessarily grow up owning a Super Nintendo, and I felt like it wasn't until, like, I don't know, sometime early in the Wii's life or something like that, I figured out, I was like, oh wait, I actually missed a whole console generation with the Super Nintendo. I was like, wow, I was like super games like Super Mario World and stuff. I was like, okay, that's cool. I eventually got around to playing games such as that though, but Earthbound, I was like, it was completely off my radar. At the time, I was mostly like just a Mario, Pokemon kind of person, just doing simple RPG stuff within the Pokemon series, mostly platformers at that given point though. But I would say it wasn't until the Wii U's life, surprisingly, I'll just go ahead and say that, the Wii U's life, obviously the Wii U had a great, phenomenal virtual console thing. You can play anything from like NES games all the way up to Nintendo DS games and stuff. So I knew, they were just going through and just adding a whole bunch of different stuff between, Nintendo's gaming legacy and such. And one of those games happened to be a Super Nintendo game. And I remember seeing this trailer pop up on YouTube or Nintendo's YouTube channel. And I was like, wait a minute, what's this game? Earthbound? And I was like, ooh, that's Ness from Super Smash Brothers. I've been playing as Ness and stuff ever since Smash Brothers 64, all the way up, at least into that moment, what was at the time Smash Brothers 4. So I was like, okay, this is Ness's game. They're dropping this game out on the eShop. It's the first time you're actually able to play Earthbound, I think digitally, period. Like, there was no other way of playing it unless you actually had the actual cartridge. So this was the first way you were able to play this beloved classic, once again, for like modern audiences and stuff like that. It was crazy for that sole reason alone. And I don't know, I was just looking at that trailer and I was like, okay, you know what? My personal goal was I had to play at least one game from everybody that was represented in Super Smash Brothers. So I had to give my boy Ness over here a little bit of respect on the name and figure out why in the world that people like this character so much in Smash Brothers to the point where obviously he was included and he's been in every single Smash game since then though. And then I finally got it on the Wii U and oh shoot, I can understand why people are saying, where is Mother 3? By the time I started and finished that game, it is something else to behold right here, though, because obviously, literally, as you start off the game, you're playing as this boy Ness, right? And he's just your average teenager. Like, he's literally barely 13 years old up in this mess, though. But yeah, he's basically a kid for all sakes and purposes, though. You're sleeping in the middle of the night, and bang, a meteor happens to hit outside, and you're like, "What the heck?" It shook the whole house. And like a curious boy oughta should not really do, but he happened to do it. He goes outside and climbs all the way up this like hill or mountain or whatever though, and happens to stumble across a meteor that had a little bug that kind of popped up out of it though. Little did he know it kind of followed him all the way back home and stuff. And that little creature kind of gave him a synopsis of, hey, there's a great evil that's controlling the whole entire earth 10 years from now. I'm actually coming to you from the future 10 years. And I was like, wait a minute, time travel. I think this might have been personally the first game I ever played that incorporated time travel in general. So that was something kind of hard to kind of I guess rationalize up in my mind. I was like, oh, okay, we're dealing with some time. Like, you kind of expect that stuff in movies though, but in games I was like, oh dog. And remind you, this is like from like the early 90s and stuff like that though. So you're like, what the heck are they they even coming up with this in terms of the plot and stuff. But I was like, I digress. And then obviously you're going through this game as Ness. You wind up picking up 3 other playable characters along the journey. One of the characters is Paula, who's like a young girl and stuff, so you manage to pick her up. Then you have Jeff, who's like a scientific boy and stuff, so you get him. And then you get Pooh, who's like more like a mystical kind of boy, probably the closest one to Ness, but even more so crazy on the magical powers, because Ness was just rocking a yo-yo and a bat and stuff, and somehow he had these psychic abilities and stuff. Paula also had a little bit of psychic abilities, Pooh a bit more than him. Jeff didn't have any kind of psychic powers. However, he was really good with using gadgets or creating stuff like bottle rockets and all of this stuff though. So if you were using that character, then yeah, that you have to stock up on a lot of good items and such though. So yeah, you start off as Ness, you get all these other characters, and you go out into the world and you try to save the world only as 13 years old. On paper, that doesn't necessarily sound like a great or amazing story or anything like that though. But once you start incorporating who the final boss is and the world building and the adventure itself, that's what really makes Earthbound, because you're going through this game and stuff and it's anything but normal. Like literally, you're fighting dogs, you're fighting plants, you fighting like these globio globs of like I don't know what, like almost like a slime, but it's like a sludge monster. People mad, hippies and stuff. I'm like, bro, the list kind of goes on and on and on though. And hey, that's what they said in the game. I'm not saying anything weird or funky though. That's just how they address them in the game. But yeah, you fight a whole bunch of crazy different people up in this game though. People, plants, animals, you name it, even aliens. Like this game is zany down to a T. I think I even heard about with their promotions and stuff. Like there was like this scratch and sniff things, and it's like, oh, that stinks or something. They advertise this game so weird though, because the game is just naturally weird and such. I mean, literally, like I remember one moment in the game, like you're going through one of these towns and stuff, and the whole town is ran by like a clan, these dudes in like purple hoods and stuff. And I started looking over here, I'm like, oh man, I was like, what this game is doing right now though. I mean, I kid you not, if this game was made in modern day era, yeah, it would have some questionable stuff and some things that might have to go back to the drawing board. I'll just leave it at that though. But I think it's because of this weirdness and zaniest stuff that's included in this game is what really kind of made it stand out though. And the fact that this ain't no short RPG. No, this is a very long, extensive JRPG. Like I think it takes roughly about 60-ish hours, and that's if you know exactly what you're doing. There's some points in the game, like for example, there was like one spot where you had to stand behind a waterfall, and I was like, what the heck? And not just stand behind it for like a few seconds. No, you could not touch none of the buttons on your Super Nintendo controller. You had to stay completely still for X amount of time. I want to say it was it a minute and a half, 3 minutes, something stupid like that. I'm like, how in the world were you supposed to even know about this stuff? This was in a pre-era before the internet was even a thing, right? So I was like, how did the world of people know about this? But I guess it was either in some guides, or maybe it was in an instruction manual. It had to have been somewhere, because how else were these other people were going to go through and beat this game though? And then obviously you have other companions and stuff you happen to meet across the way. Like you have like these people that are like magicians and stuff. They happen to help you in terms of like transportation, traveling all the way across this world and stuff like that though. And the goal is you got to find these 8 different sanctuaries and stuff and kind of resonate with the earth, so that way you actually have a shot at beating Gaius. Now Gaius though, oh my goodness, that is some kind of main antagonist right there though. I mean, this dude was essentially an alien technically he went by a slightly different name, still started with a G. In first Earthbound, he failed, and he said, all right, I'm gonna have to leave, come back, and then, this is his second attempt. And gosh, my God, you're talking about an insane antagonist. Like, this dude in the final boss, when you're trying to go through and fight him, though, this dude was so powerful. He literally busted and lost his mind. So, like, he's literally just doing things out of instinct with no thoughts behind any of his actions and stuff. And this dude was so powerful, you can, hit him with a bat, drop a bomb, shoot him with a missile or something, hit him with one of Pooh's magical attacks. This dude did not flinch. He could not take any damage. All you could do is just hope and pray, literally pray, and in hopes that you could actually do something against this monster, though. And mind you, the time traveling stuff, you even rewinding back 1,000 years in the past to even fight good guys. And I was like, what the heck? And then for some odd reason, Pokey's next to him, which happened to be a friend at the beginning of the story, and by the end of it, happened to be an antagonist who actually plays a role in Mother 3, though. But I hate that punk with a passion, man. I'm like, he seemed okay at first, though, but like, what? This dude was too jealous for his own good, man. I hate that dude, though. There's a reason why I hate fighting that dude as a boss. And what was it? In one of the subspace emissary fights in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I just despise that dude, though. But regardless, though, Gaius, though, I'm like, oh man, that you're talking about sending some chills down your spine. Like, the dude doesn't even have a physical body when you're fighting this dude, though. So yeah, so that's just crazy in and of itself. And then the fact that while you're going through and playing this game, it didn't even have like random encounters. Like, every enemy that you fought was actually on the screen. Like, even at the time, though, when you look at games such as like Dragon Quest or what was known as Dragon Warrior back in the day, though, I mean, a lot of games happen to use random encounters for like a lot of their interactions and stuff while you're playing RPGs and stuff. And this is like one of the first few games, I would dare say, that actually managed to incorporate, non-random encounters and stuff. I was like, man, this game did a lot of things so early on that I think a lot of other future RPGs, JRPGs, just in general, probably pull some aspirations from this game, though, because it did a lot of things first and quite well, considering the hardware limitations that were within the Super Nintendo. And I'm surprised between all the different dialogues and stuff, like your interactions with your parents and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do and talk within the game, like obviously go shopping, buy items and such, and then go around and have all these different conversations and with people that could help you, people that are out to get you and stuff. Like, there's a lot, and there's so many different worlds and areas and stuff that you're able to travel between. It's like, how are they able to pick all this stuff up on a single Super Nintendo cartridge? I was like, gosh dang, Nintendo. I was like, man, there's a reason why all these people are clamoring on for us to get an official localization for Mother 3. And the reason why they even memed it to death in one of Nintendo's E3 presentations way back when. So it's just crazy to see how many things that this game was completely capable of. But surprisingly for the times, it was definitely, I guess, a forerunner in terms of what you're actually able to do within an RPG, and the sense of exploration, storytelling, and everything else in between, though. I was like, man, oh man, like I could probably keep going on and on, rambling on about this game, though, since I would dare say it is one of my top 10 favorite RPGs of all time. Yes, it's been a while since I played this game. I probably do need to pick it up again and just try to run through it. And for all y'all that haven't possibly played it, now it is available on Nintendo Switch Online. So if you happen to have an NSO account, hey, I don't know why you're waiting. As soon as you're done with this video, you should go ahead and give a crack at it. At least play it for at least a solid 2 hours. And it might be for you, though, but at least for me back then, I played it on the Wii U, and I think I had like one of those special little guides that gave you information and stuff on the tablet. Because if I didn't have that, shoot, who has like 4 equipable items, and only 4? Like, you can't equip nothing else to him except for those 4, and they're all hidden throughout the world. So it's like, without guides and stuff, I wouldn't even been able to figure out on what was the best items to equip Pooh, because Pooh's a very strong character. I'll just say that, though. But overall, I can keep rambling on and on about this game, though, but I want to hear y'all thoughts down in the comment section down below. Have you managed to go through and ever play Earthbound before? Or shoot, while I'm talking about Earthbound, even Earthbound Beginnings, I hadn't beat that game from start to finish, though. But hey, it was nice for them to localize that. So Nintendo, I know you might possibly be watching this either now or in the future. Come on, you gotta give us Mother 3. Like, come on now. Oh, goodness. All right, I digress. I rambled long enough. So that's going to basically do it in terms of today's collection reflection video, though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you're going to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things gaming I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, Fuzzy Pickles. Wait. Hold on. No, that's not right. Oh shoot! Yeah, they always mention those fuzzy pickles all the stinking time, even with the do signs up in there. I kid you not, I did not pull that from the game in terms of my outro. I didn't get any inspiration from that. It just happens to line up. All right, let me get it right, y'all. All right, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.